John, you're not getting me. I said, if it is so futile to, if it is so useless to have me charged with blasphemous libel, why even make that threat in a letter?
You are slandering people, and because
John, answer my question. Answer my question. I have no reputation to lose.
It is not correct to
I'd say it's an attack. I'd say it's an attack on my. It's an attack on my.
Freedom of expression law.
No, I'm not.
It's not. Freedom of expression is not supposed to be for saying untrue things.
But I haven't said if you have to prove they're untrue. If they're untrue, yes, you do. you can't say you can't.
Cover up when there's no cover up.
There is a cover up. I already told you. Why do you keep getting in my face, John? You're the one.
You said there was no cover up, and you're back. You're hitting the sign that says.
Oh, you're grabbing my hands now. You're grabbing my signs now, John. You're the one who's irritable. No, I'm not out of line. You are engaging in incredible willful ignorance.
And obfuscate all you want.
I can prove my point. I can prove what I'm saying. You can't.
17 years of bitter campaigning.
Bitter. Half of my picket signs are laughing at you guys. Unsafe sect, is that bitter, or is it like making laughing at you idiots? I'd say it's laughing at you idiots. Cult is a four-way.
Listen to your camera and listen to what
my camera's going to be. Right now. My camera's going to be. This is going to be on YouTube soon enough, John.
A bitter and unjust campaign.
John, you're the one who sounds bitter. I'm laughing. I think you're hilarious.
I'm not happy with you.
Yeah. So I think you're engaging in psychological projection, John. You're accusing me of being bitter, when in fact you're the one who's bitter. And again, there's other psychological projection going on. I think maybe you should look at the video yourself, to say nothing of the other ones, and realize that you're the one with your head up your ass. So I use that term, head up your ass, because the abusive Unitarian Universalist minister by the name of Reverend Dr. Victoria Weinstein, also known as Peace Bang, doesn't mind describing people as crazy asshats. Now, I didn't even know what an asshat was until I saw Reverend Dr. Victoria Weinstein's use of the term in a blog post in which she described the U.S. State Senator as a crazy asshat. She also expressed a fantasy imagining the guy anally impaled on the Statue of Liberty's torch. And, here's John Inder accusing me of being obscene and abusive just for using the term, head up your ass. And I do it deliberately because I want him to say this is abusive, because guess what? The UUA refused to do so. I filed a complaint against Reverend Dr. Victoria Weinstein about her abusive behavior on her Peace Bang blog. I complained about the fact that she had insulted and defamed me and other people on her blog. I pointed out, how she had blogged this sodomy fantasy in which she imagined a South Dakota state senator anally impaled on Statue of Liberty's torch. That's an exact quote from her blog post. In the same blog post, she'd described him as a crazy asshat. Yet, when I complained about this abusive behavior, the UUA pretended that it was outside of her role as a minister because she was blogging anonymously and blah, 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 even though she clearly identified herself as a Unitarian Universalist minister on the intro to her blog. The profile page clearly identified herself as a Unitarian Universalist minister, albeit it wasn't clear which one because she blogged under a pseudonym. But it was very, very clear that this was a Unitarian Universalist minister blogging. And in fact, the fact that she was doing it pseudonymously and anonymously was actually worse for the Unitarian Universalist religious community than if she'd signed her name to her abusive blog post. Because in identifying herself as a Unitarian Universalist minister, without saying which one, she essentially left people playing a guessing game. Well, which Unitarian Universalist minister is, good day, which Unitarian Universalist minister is the one who's you know, posting all these obscene and abusive blog posts. So people might have guessed any number of other Unitarian Universalist ministers. So anyway, I use that term because, A, it does fit. I mean, John Inder really does, you know, in more polite terms, he had his head buried in the sand like a proverbial ostrich. You know, he really just does not want to know the truth. He will say anything he needs to say to try and deny the truth, cover up the truth, and so on. It's amazing how so much of what he accuses me of, he is guilty of himself. And certainly other Unitarian Universalists are guilty of what he accuses me of. In fact, I've been complaining about such behavior on the part of Unitarian Universalists for years. You know, what's abusive? Oh yes, well that sucks word, I guess. Is but again, this is just referencing Unitarian Universalists using that word. You know, I never displayed the word sucks on my picket signs until such a time as a Unitarian Universalist minister described all Republicans, like not just one or two, but the whole grand old party as really mean people who do suck in a blog post. So basically every Republican sucks, according to Reverend Cynthia P. Kane. But on top of that, going back to 2010 or so, maybe 2009, December, I got a nice little Christmas present from an anonymous Unitarian, the Robin Edgar Sucks blog. So, you know, big red letters, Robin Edgar Sucks, and, you know, all kinds of unflattering blog posts about me, again, some of which contain, you know, completely false information. So I have a pretty good idea who's involved in that. In fact, I do believe, based on evidence, that Reverend Dr. Victoria Weinstein, also known as Peace Bang, was one of the prime movers and shakers of creating that blog. I don't think she's the only Unitarian Universalist involved. She may possibly not be involved, but it's unlikely because there's hard evidence that strongly suggests that she, at least at the beginning of this blog, was. So here, you know, going back to 2010 anyway, certainly 2011, you know, you can just look it up if you want, Robin Edgar Sucks blog. You'll Google it, you'll find it, just Robin Edgar. Heck, if you put Robin Edgar, it'll be on the first page of results in Google, which is exactly what the blog founders were hoping for, I'm sure. Anyway, getting back to that, so this word sucks was not used by me until Reverend Cynthia P. Kane used the word sucks or suck to describe every single member of the Republican Party in the United States, including the few that might actually be members of the Unitarian Universalist Church, and until somebody, you know, a so-called collective authorship of Unitarian Universalists who were trying to discredit me, started what they call the Robin Edgar Sucks blog. So I thought, well, let's just throw that sucks word back at them. That's one of my tactics, because when you accuse them of being abusive and rude and so on, they pretend that they aren't. So the only way to get them to acknowledge, well, actually they are being abusive, is to throw the same words back at them and have them accuse you of being abusive, in which case you say, well, actually the only reason I use that word is because you used it against me and or other people first, and I'm just trying to get you to understand that it is abusive. Maybe you should retract and apologize and so on. But no, you know, John was like so in your face, definitely aggressive. You know, he's like getting in my space, you know, getting within inches of me, even grabbing my picket sign on a couple occasions. You know, he's the aggressive one. I'm just walking back and forth here with picket signs, you know, saying a little monologue. I'm not physically aggressive, and if I did raise my voice, well, gee, it might be because A, John was aggressive himself, and B, he wouldn't shut up. You know, like I said, hey, Leo, I want to answer your question, and he wouldn't shut up. So basically, he wouldn't, you know, give me an opportunity to counter his, you know, claims by pointing out the facts to him. Just kept, you know, trying to bury my words with his own. You know, so yeah, at a certain point, I would raise my voice to, you know, try to be heard over his, you know, constant blathering, as it were. So yeah, that was an interesting little exchange this morning, and yes, that will be on YouTube. Unfortunately, I didn't notice that the tape ran out in part of our conversation. I'm hoping we got a good chunk of it. I know we didn't get all of it, which is unfortunate because it really was quite interesting, shall we say. I would be very happy to put the whole thing up on YouTube. Unfortunately, I won't be able to. But I think we have a good chunk of John Inder's attempt to, you know, get in my face this morning, if nothing else. And it's clear that he's not happy. It's unfortunate that, you know, on the one hand, he doesn't like the fact that I'm protesting. On the other hand, he refuses to do anything to address the reasons why I'm protesting. So you can't have it both ways, John Inder. You know, if you don't like what's on my picket signs, then maybe you need to address the issues that I'm protesting against properly. And I've tried to give John opportunity to do that. You know, he keeps accusing me of bullying. Well, no, I'm saying there's some problems here that need to be addressed. And since you won't address them, you know, in terms of dialogue, well, I have little choice but to be out here with picket signs. You know, I've made it clear that I'm ready to engage in dialogue, even ready to suspend the protest for a couple of months if the church agrees to enter into dialogue with me. But they refuse to do so. So here we go. Yeah, that's it. Don't look at the signs in my hand. Just ignore them. All right.
All right, go, church.
Anyhow, we shall just circulate since there's people